When somebody tells you something that you know to be a lie, number one, take a pause and say, I need to come back to this conversation. I need to come back to this conversation. If they're telling you the truth, no problem. They're going to say, okay, take your time. But if they're not telling the truth, oh, they're not going to like it because it's telling them that you're not buying it. They're going to have this big overreaction and say things like, well, what do you think happened? Or, well, you think I'm lying? They're going to try and reconstruct the narrative while you're talking. Number two, you can also say something feels off. That something feels off. If they're telling the truth, they're not going to have any problem with it. They're going to try and work through it and say, well, what feels off? Let's talk about it. But if they're not, they're going to just spiral. They're going to try and actually gaslight you and challenge your sense of reality and say things like, you are literally insane right now. Or do you know what you even sound like? You're crazy. Number three, you can say nothing at all. 10 to 15 seconds of silence. And in that silence, liars actually start to talk to themselves. They'll start to say things like, what are you worried about? That's not even me. You know, why would I even say something that's not the truth? And they'll start to just falter and flip and get really defensive. And that's your sign that you're dealing with a liar. Now, I want to make sure and tell you that this is not a one-size-fits-all. There are personalities, people who may be neurodivergent or people who are more prone to over-explaining things or needing to elaborate on things that make them sound like they may not be telling the truth or that they may be lying or they're trying to construct things in a certain way. That's not the indicator. I don't want you to think that people who have to talk a lot necessarily are lying to you. The key, the indicator that I like to see or that I look for is a big overreaction where we might be talking at a level 3. And as soon as I may try to challenge a little bit of the fact to say, that doesn't seem to match up to me, something feels off, they go all the way to 12, where all of a sudden they are highly defensive. They are on the attack. They're starting to say things that are ugly. They're starting to challenge in a way that it is not meshing with the level of a 3 that we were previously talking at. So when you see this big heightened overreaction followed by major defensiveness, that's your indication that I need to trust my gut here. I need to listen to myself, not just what they're saying, but really what my sense is, because every one of us, you and I and everybody, have a sixth sense about us when we can tell somebody is not telling the truth, somebody is not being entirely genuine. So I don't want you to think that just because they're elaborating or over-explaining, they're trying to pull one over on you. Everybody has different ways. And you're going to know based upon the personality and specifically what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about something in a relationship, maybe some kind of fact that you know to be true, and they're trying to push you another way. Just be careful about it and understand that one size does not fit all. One thing about liars is that they don't like delay. Whenever you add distance between what they said and when you believe or don't believe what they said, they just twist in the wind. They hate it because it tells them that you are not taking the bait. They want that immediate reaction. They want you to just continue to go along as if everything they said is fine. They want to be a smooth liar. They want everything to be just fine for you to take their story. But the more suspicious you are, the more they will push back at you. Understand that those who tell the truth, they really have no problem with it. You take all the time you need. I know my truth is my truth. So let's put it in an innocent example. Let's say you asked me, you said, Jefferson, what did you eat for breakfast this morning? And I said, oatmeal. And they go, I don't know about that. Are you lying to me? I'd say, no. And the more defensive they got, the less I'm going to get upset about it because I know I'm telling the truth. I know what I ate. You need to take a break from the conversation. You need to think about something. Something feels off to you. Okay, let's talk about it. Why does it feel off? But I know what I did. I don't have to hide anything. But if I'm telling a lie, well, then I'm going to get more defensive that you're not buying it. So often when people are delaying that conversation, the more liars are going to twist off. Just be prepared for that. Well, I like to start off with number one of, this is something that I need to come back to. When you say, I need to come back to this conversation or I need to think about this, it's delaying it. You're saying, okay, I hear you. I need to do some thought on my own, process this, and then come back. In other words, I need to do some research. liars don't like you to do research. They want you to just buy exactly what they said. So understand that that is something that is going to be part of that package when you say, I need some time to think about this. And it also empowers you to say, look, I know what I heard, but I also know what I know. I know my facts. So I'm going to take some time with this, and I'm going to think things out. That's the way to respond in those situations. Another reason that I like number 2, and that is something feels off, that is really easy for you to just say something feels off. They're going to say, what's wrong? You go, something feels off. People who are telling the truth have no problem talking with you through it. Okay, just let's talk about it. What feels off? Let's talk. People who are liars don't want to talk. They don't want to talk. They just want you to believe. They want you to take it hook, line, and sinker. So they will have this big reaction. Don't be afraid. And if in that moment they try to, what they call gaslight you, or try to say that attack your character, they attack you personally and say you're crazy, you're insane. Do you know how literally insane you sound right now? Don't take that kind of bait. That's all it is. It's just bait. They're going to try and get a rise out of you, because the more upset that these people can make you, people with toxic traits or narcissistic tendencies, they're trying to get a rise out of you to get you more upset. And now you're fighting about the lie, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to keep going all the way to a level 12, and then they'll flip on you. They'll flip and say, I don't know why you're always attacking me. You never believe me. You remember what you did 4 months ago? Something that they bring up the past, and all of a sudden they're pointing out that they're the victim and you're the one that's the attacker or the offender, just not believing them and never understanding them, and you don't really get them. And now all of a sudden you feel like you're in a position where they're wanting some kind of apology. And this is just another instance. Stay away from that. Listen to me. Stay away from that. When you add silence and add delay, even 10, 15 seconds of silence, it makes a huge difference when it comes to handling somebody who's a liar. Because if you were to point out right away, that's a lie, you're a liar, you think they're going to go, yep, you're right, dang, you got me, you're so good, you got me? Absolutely not. They're going to say, what? No, I'm not, I'm a liar. Oh yeah, me? What about you? And all of a sudden it's just going to get worse. They'll double down on it, and you're going to have to peel back layer upon layer. But if you just give the silence, they will have that conversation for you. They will have the conversation in their head that, oh my gosh, they're not buying. Okay, I need to tweak, I need to pivot, I need to say something else, or I need to a little bit more reveal the truth without you having to say a thing. Now that is true control. I'm going to share a story real quick with you. When I was probably about 3 years ago, I had a case, and often in car wrecks, a major issue is texting while driving, as you can imagine. Now, people don't like admitting that they're texting while driving. Everybody does it, and it's terrible. It's a major cause of commercial and personal auto case accidents. So a part of the question generally in a deposition is whether somebody was texting. Well, I was talking to this guy, taking his deposition. He was on the other side of me, and I asked him, I said, were you texting while driving? Automatically said, no, I never text while I drive. Problem number one, he just said, I never. Never is an absolute. So if you're going to use an absolute, if you're going to say never, it better be never. So first thing he said was, I never text while I drive. Well, here's the thing. I already had his cell phone records. I had all of his mobile records. You don't know what people are texting. You just can see the transmission of when they send a text, when it was received. I already had all that because his attorney gave it to me. It's part of the trial. So I already know I have that, but I don't bring it up right away. Instead, I just give about 10 seconds of nothing. 10 seconds of nothing. And I just kind of looked around the room, looked at him for a second, and in that moment, within not even 10 seconds, he said, well, I mean, I sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. Right there. Okay, he just, what they call in Texas, crawfished here in the South, meaning you're backing up. You're backing up what you just said. You're actually going back on it, saying, well, I mean, he went from I always or I never to, which is an absolute, to, well, I mean, I sometimes do, but I wasn't doing it right then. All I did was repeat his lie. I just repeated it. I said, you never text while you drive. All of a sudden, he started like, well, I mean, sometimes I do. And I gave it a little bit more time, and then I followed it up with, you were texting your coworker that day, weren't you? At that point, he was so far off the ledge that you're inviting him to come back. And at that point, he was just kind of relieved. He's like, yeah, I think I was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I was. And at that point, I just tweak it a little bit more. You were. It's not a you think you were. You were. Yes, I was. Boom. Right then. I don't have to call him out as a liar. I don't have to have this big ordeal. I don't have to try and hurt his credibility in a harmful way. I can still be respectful and give him just a chance to walk off the plank. Often just giving that a moment of silence and letting them hear their thoughts and saying, nobody in this room is believing this right now. They understand that all their feet, the floor underneath them, the carpet underneath them just got pulled. They have nothing else to stand on, and they'll go back to safety because they know that their lie is not being taken. Now we're at the point of the podcast where I get to read a question from a follower. If you're not already part of my newsletter, I send a communication tip once a week right to your inbox where you can ask me questions and I get to respond to it. It's a lot of fun for me, and I always pull one so I can talk about it in the podcast. This one is from April. April is in Nashville, Tennessee. Jefferson, I love your stuff so much. Thank you, April. I have an issue whenever I'm trying to explain something. Sometimes I am elaborating too much, where I'm trying to over-explain, but some people feel like I am telling a lie when I'm really not. I'm just trying to clarify. Can you help give me some guidance there? April, you're not the only one. All right? That's the first thing, is you're not the only one. There are a lot of people who feel like they just need to get it all out. They just need to get it all out. But sometimes the more that you say, the more it looks like you're trying to hide the truth. Let me tell you the difference. All right? It's when you're getting to the point. Often, if I were going to ask you a question that is generally a yes or no question, or something that is a very clear fact, like, what time did you get home last night? Or did you stop by the store yesterday? These are very clear things. Is it a yes or a no? Do you have a time or do you not have a time? Often, people look like they're lying when they don't say that yes or no or that fact right out of the gate. Instead, they leave it for the very end. So if I were going to ask you, did you go to the store yesterday, which is a yes or no, they'll go, well, and they'll start talking about, well, first I went here and then I went there, and they lay out this timeline. There are a lot of people who they will have to say a timeline first. Like, well, I went here, then you said that, and then I did this, and they need to construct it in a certain way to get it all out. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to be careful to make sure that when somebody's giving you that time frame, they're not reconstructing it in a way that does not match what you know of the facts. But what causes the problem, April, is when you wait to the very end to say that yes or a no. If I ask you what time it is, and you start talking about something else, and at the whole point I'm thinking, why aren't you answering my question? Why aren't you answering my question? You're just trying to explain. What I hear is you're trying to delay and you're trying to hide. What can eliminate that is when you give the answer, your point, right out of the gate, and then say, can I explain? Period. Did you go to the store yesterday? Yes, I did. Can I share with you something else? All right? That's going to give you a whole lot more room to say, I need to get some stuff off my chest. Or there's sometimes a question isn't a yes or a no. Lots of times my clients get, in a deposition, they get asked questions. And what I train them on is some questions aren't a yes or a no. They're not black and white, but attorneys sometimes will try and corner them. And some people will try to corner you into certain conversations. Instead, you just answer with, that's not a yes or no question for me. That question can't be answered in a yes or a no. That's what I teach them. I can't answer that question in a yes or a no. Can I explain? Or I'm happy to explain, and I'm happy to share some more on it. So I don't want you to feel pressured that just because you need to explain things, it means that you're not telling the truth. It's not what that means. All that means is you just need to rearrange the structure of your sentences. Give the point at the very beginning, then explain, rather than first thing out of your mouth is, let me explain. As soon as you say that first without giving the point, so if I ask you a question and you say, let me explain, people go, oh, great, you're not going to give me the answer. You're hiding the answer. You're delaying the answer. And it makes you look more like you're not telling the truth. So what I would encourage you to do is try to say the yes or no, the answer, direct answer up front, and then follow up with an explanation that supports that answer, not the other way around. The next time that someone tries to gaslight you, Here's what I want you to do. Number one, if they say, I didn't say that, instead of chasing it and saying, yes, you did, or then what did I say? Which allows them to manipulate the narrative. You're going to slowly respond, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. It doesn't allow them to flip any message, and it keeps you in a position of strength. Number two, if they try to personally attack you and say things like, you're crazy, you need help, you're going to calmly respond, I need someone who's helpful. I need someone who's helpful. What you're doing is saying, you're not the person that I need in this conversation, and you're not being part of the solution. And that's where I'm going. Number three, if they say something like, you're imagining things, you're going to say from a position of strength and assertiveness, I do not imagine facts. Here's where you can get almost a little bit indignant. I do not imagine facts. What you're saying is, I know exactly what happened. I know what my facts are, and I'm not coming away from it. And before I continue, I want to make sure that I give this disclaimer. All right. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. If you have legitimate questions about gaslighting, feel free to ask them. I'm going to tell you what I know it to be and what I've interacted with in my line of work in the legal field. Gaslighting is a term that can be thrown around way too easily. Okay, it seems to be a very easy replacement for somebody who just simply disagrees with you that you don't really like. That's not it. So be careful with that term. Gaslighting is a much more serious issue, and the goal of it is to make you question your reality, to make you question who you are and how you make judgments and decisions about things. And a very simple example, let's say you and I are sitting across from each other, and I start tapping my pen, and then I stop, and I start tapping my pen again. You go, I need you to stop. I go, what are you talking about? You were tapping your pen. I said, no, I'm not. No, I wasn't. I've never been tapping my pen. And I tap it a little bit later. And again, I denied. I said, you're just making things up. You're imagining things. Over time, that's a very elementary example, but in a bigger scheme of things, things happen that somebody is seeing and you're noticing, but they deny it, deny that anything happened, and they start to make you feel bad about yourself, that you're wrong in your decision-making, wrong in your memory, and then that you're just a person who feels very unsure about who they are in their reality, make you question everything, make you question the veracity, the truthfulness of things. And it's a way to manipulate you to form control. If I were to say to you, everybody thinks you're crazy, and I hate to tell you this, but like all your friends, they hate you. Like nobody likes you. And I do that from a position of, I'm the only one that can tell you this. I'm the one that really cares about you, when really all I'm doing is isolating you. Gaslighting is meant to question your reality. So anytime you get into an argument where you're thinking, I know this. I know that that's not what happened, but this other person is totally denying it. It's a way of lying, but it's even more serious in that they're forming the lie to twist it to paint a picture of what they want you to see versus what the truth actually reveals. All right. And so that's the difference. And it's one of the most corrosive things I think can happen in an argument. So in my line of work, I often see people who attempt to gaslight in depositions under cross-examination, because it's a very high stress, high conflict environment where I'm asking them questions. And often when somebody is caught in a lie or caught in a situation where it's not putting them in the best light, the most cunning, the best liars will attempt to gaslight the situation. And this is what it sounds like. They will go, okay, wait. Let's go back. That's a key phrase right there. Let's go back. And they want to go to the very beginning of the timeline to them. And they want to go, okay, this said this, and he said this, and she said this. And they want to construct the narrative totally on their own. And it's like they're rewriting history, where I have the facts, I have the records, but yet they are starting to just lie. And you can tell they just drop little lies over time, to where at the end result, they expect that the only answer I could possibly have is that they're the one that is the most righteous. They're the one that is the most justified, that everything they've done is rational and reasonable, when really they are just digging a hole and asking me to fill it. This is what I mean. Often gaslighting is, the way I picture it is, they dig holes and then kind of trick you, entice you into filling it. So they'll say some kind of lie, and then you get really defensive and go, that's not what happened. No, nuh-uh. And they go, okay, well, what happened? And they're asking you to just pick up a shovel and put the hole back in it. And then they go to another lie. And you go, no, what are you talking about? and you pick up your shovel and you start filling another hole. So all they do is just go around where you're losing control, like a cat and a laser pointer, that they're holding the laser pointer all over the wall in the different areas of the room, and you're the cat just chasing it from point to point to point, not seeing